Welcome to another amazing episode of the OfferIn Podcast, where we talk real problems, real stories, and real solutions in the world of real estate. So today we're digging into something that impacts every deal, every referral, every conversation: trust. Whether you've done 5 deals or 500, you know how quickly trust can be built. And on the opposite, we know how quickly trust can be lost. In this episode, we're talking about how to build trust, combining it with transparency to become your competitive advantage, competitive edge. And maybe we'll throw in there how OfferIn can help impact that and bring trust into a real estate deal as well. So we're joined by Kevin and Ben. Super pumped to have you here and talk through this. I know this is a really important topic for both of you. And all of us, the core principles of who we are as human beings, as men, as husbands, as fathers as well. So, so in real estate, why is trust such a big deal? Who wants to start?
Well, I think trust is, as you said, it's one of the things that can be built quickly or eroded very quickly. And it's going to be the thing that is kind of like, it's the underpin of everything you do. If you build trust with your clients over time, that's going to lead to a great business, a great brand. It's going to lead to referrals. It's going to lead to being able to sleep really well at night. It's going to lead to your business actually being a stable business, something that's built on stone instead of being built on sand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ben, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think our industry it's invisible to people. It's unknown. They don't do it all the time. It's a lot of money. There's a lot of angles. So even if somebody is telling the truth, it's hard to tell. It's just hard for people to tell what's happening. So, and because there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of people that are drawn to it that may try to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. So the combination of the lot of money with the lack of visibility creates some trust issues.
Yeah, that's great. Good angle.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's highly emotional and highly volatile in people's lives. When somebody's selling or buying a home, it's because something else has happened in their lives typically. A new baby, a new marriage, divorce, death. Something like that is actually what's going on underneath to cause this physical thing to happen of buying or selling a house. And so there's a lot of volatility in people's lives combined with, like what Ben's saying, a lot of money moving hands very quickly, doing something that people don't do often. Maybe anywhere from 1 to 10 times in an average person's lives. Maybe they're selling or buying a home. And so all those 3 things combined with then needing to have somebody on the other side who's walking you through this process. And you've got to make this decision to hire this person. And you really don't know what they're doing. Are they doing a good job? Are they telling me the truth? What's actually happening?
You know what? There's actually like 9 factors all working together at the same time. So like even, for example, with OfferIn, when somebody makes an offer, there's little details that you just don't know matter that really matter. Mm-hmm. Like who is the lender? What kind of a down payment? What FHA conventional, cash, or I'm trying to think, appraisal gap. There's all these little details that the average person would not understand, or even just on a like when you're pricing a house, like where is it located? What time of the year is it? What are the interest rates doing? What are all these things that are happening that equal the result? And I think it's hard for people you could get like 7 out of the 8 right. It's like putting a machine together with getting 7 out of the 8 things right. But that one missing thing causes the whole thing not to run correctly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think for the agent who is really trying to do a great job, they're out there working their butts off trying to serve, And if they miss one key detail, they may not know, they may not, whatever, it creates distrust because it causes everything to become clunky. Nobody was trying to have that happen, but it does all the time because people aren't able to get outside of these transactions to really like advise people how to move forward.
Mm-hmm. So when you walk in, somebody contacts you saying, hey, we want you to sell our house, for example, Kevin, how do you start building trust? Where does that happen? Where do you start it?
Yep. I think that trust begins in transparency. In number one, being transparent with what you know, and secondary to that, maybe even more important, what you don't know and what you're not good at.
So give me an example.
This is
story of this.
These aren't extreme examples, but for the purpose of this conversation, maybe somebody calls into our office that says, hey, I've got a building to sell. It's in a commercial zone. Can you do it? Well, the first part of me is like, oh yeah, we definitely can because that's a $2 million building and we get paid 6% on it. Absolutely we can, right? But the truth is we're not great at it. The truth is we are really good at selling residential properties in residential neighborhoods to people who are dealing with a residential emotional mindset and money. We're really good at that. And so being able to say no to one thing, yes to another thing, but then bringing the transparency when we do show up with those people of there's three things people care about. I think that develop trust with a client. Number one, what's the process? What are the steps I'm going to go through? Yep. Number two, what's it going to cost me financially? And number three, what's the timeline? When is all of this going to happen? If you can tell somebody what the steps they're going to walk through, how much it's going to cost, and what's the timeline for this, those are typically the three things jammed up inside of people that are going to unlock the fear that they might be having of moving forward. And once you know those three things, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in building something, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in opening up a new bank account, those are always the three things people care about most.
That's really good.
And if you have enough self-awareness to recognize that you are not actually prepared to provide those things, the humility to invite other people into your life. Maybe you need a mentor, maybe you need a coach, maybe you need somebody else that actually knows these things. Like you know, fake it till you make it. You don't actually have to do that. You just need to be able to like value yourself enough to spend the money, invest in actually having somebody teach you these things so that you can actually provide to someone else what you would want provided to you. So there's an element of humility here that I think you have to have in order to build the trust, which is what you're saying. It's like you have to know and be confident enough to know what you're good at. Like if you're good at something, own it, wear it, and then be confident in the fact that somebody else is like you. You're really good at, I mean, honestly, like when you hear your voice go and all that, and you get all nervous about it, it's hilarious to me because it's just like, you're good at it. So when you own that stuff, it makes everybody feel comfortable.
Speaking of making everybody feel comfortable or uncomfortable, is this huge lawsuit, right? Very traditional industry for many, many years.
Yeah.
And then boom, the NAR has some kind of lawsuit going on. I know we're a year plus into it.
August 17th or 19th, I think. So almost maybe 8 months or 9 months into it.
As we're dating this podcast, if you will. But we're a few months into it. So how has that eroded trust in the industry?
Eroded.
You wanted to open up a big can of worms when there's 10 minutes left on this podcast is what you were thinking this morning.
That's right. That's kind of open.
I think from a very high level, the lawsuit with NAR has actually just almost taken a glass vase and broken it and shattered it into 100 or 1,000 different pieces, and people don't really know how to pick it up. And so from the perspective of the public, there's this thing that happened. People really don't understand it because they don't understand the nuances of what's happening in real estate when a buyer's submitting an offer, when they're working with their agent. I think the lawsuit was a catastrophic failure on the part of everybody involved in making that decision. It did not help consumers. It did not help real estate agents. It did not help sellers. And I don't think it helped buyers.
Which was the intention of it. Right?
Yeah.
Apparently that's what the intention of it was.
Transparency at the core. It's like, hey, we're not being transparent in our transactions. Let's just open the window a little bit and let's see that. So that transparency. You mentioned that word transparency, made me think of that story.
Well, the funny thing is that the window used to be open. You used to be able to see what was transparently happening. Now what's happened is they've closed the window and said, people need to open up the window every time they want to look in and see transparency, which most people don't even know there's a window there to open up.
Yeah, that's right. They turned there was at least a structure before. There was a system. It's the Wild West. That's the reality.
Wow.
And people didn't know how it worked before. Now everybody just is making up how it works. So
You know what's interesting? I'm a consumer.
it's worse. It's worse for the buyers. I mean, it's worse for people.
It's worse for the buyers.
100% worse.
It's worse for the sellers.
Yeah.
There's real estate agents who it is very good for, and good real estate agents. Look, good real estate agents are always going to serve their clients well.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
they're always going to find a way, in whatever storm they're currently living in, to develop truth and to develop transparency and ultimately trust with their clients. So good real estate agents are very good at managing this scenario, and they're creating wildly spectacular experiences for their clients with this going on. But here's the thing. Those people were already doing that before this lawsuit, and they're doing it now too.
Yeah.
Which maybe it just takes time. Sometimes when you throw a grenade into something, it takes time for the new normal, and I think that's really what's happening. It's not all bad. I mean, the reality is it's just kind of allowing people to rise to the occasion of figuring out what is the best system. It's not being controlled now. So I think over time somebody will figure out like, oh yeah, that's how it makes sense. I mean, I think we're working on that.
Oh, everybody who wants to be in real estate as an agent or a brokerage is working on this problem right now today, and they have been. My point is just that I've seen more bad behavior since this lawsuit than before the lawsuit.
In what way? Yeah, what bad behavior you're seeing?
And here's the other problem with it. The other problem with the bad behavior is there used to be an enforcement mechanism. Now, because everything's hidden, there's actually no enforcement mechanism. So bad behavior can happen. Nobody even knows about it. And then there's nobody to actually enforce any type of consequence to it.
So give me an example.
Oh, here's the easiest example I can tell you. I don't have any way to prove this, but my instincts, here's what happens.
Spidey senses.
Here's what happens. A buyer's agent submits an offer on a property. Let's just keep math simple here. Let's say it's a $500,000 offer with a 3% buyer's agent commission being paid to them.
Okay,
$15K. They get a counter offer. And let's say the counter offer was $525 with a 2% buyer's agent commission. Those details never make it back to the buyer. What actually makes it back to the buyer, I don't have the math going on here because I don't have a calculator in front of me, but what actually makes it back to the buyer is a 3% commission still, and whatever the number was to make that even. So let's call it $525, now with a 3% commission. That information used to be public. It used to be in the MLS. You used to be able to see it. Everybody could see what the buyer's agent commission was. So there was no way to put a cover over it. Now what's happening when buyer's agents submit offers, they get a counter offer with a different commission. That information never makes it back. And I know this because I've seen it come back to us on offers where we get back something that just doesn't seem like it made its way back to the buyer. Ultimately, our job is to represent our sellers in that scenario so we get them the best scenario and the best deal. But that's my feeling of what's going on.
Well, and there's a bigger issue with this NAR, and that is they almost got it backwards.
What way?
Well, the issue, they're kind of looking at all these buyer's agents saying, hey, these people are getting paid too much or whatever. The truth is, trust, whatever.
Truth.
These buyer's agents they work their tails off, and they earn every dollar of a 3% real estate commission that they get. They truly do. The actual indifference, if you want to call it or whatever, is on the listing side. Technology, Zillow, the internet, advertising, all of that actually is where the lopsidedness is. So putting all this downward pressure on these buyer's agents and actually getting your sellers involved in negotiating with them and like going back and forth is actually, I think, going to create a jadedness. It is creating a jadedness in these buyer's agents. They're like, fine, okay, you know what? Like, nobody's understanding what I'm actually going through.
Well, the truth is, to run a successful real estate business, one where you have office space, you have a really great team, you have a good website to represent you well, to be able to pay attorneys correctly, to structure your business, to be able to offer this thing to the public. The truth is, you need to make money, there needs to be a profit on it, and you need to be able to support your family with that profit. Putting this downward pressure on those commissions doesn't allow that to happen, which means then you end up with some type of weird thing that actually comes out for the public. The public's not actually getting the service they need or want to be able to have a great experience and to be able to make sure they're protected, make sure they have a professional representing them. People want that in real estate. The thing that people miss the most when I hear people talk about this, the truth is, people want great representation when they buy or sell a house.
Yeah.
That's the thing that all of these people are missing, that think real estate agents don't need to exist or they're doing a bad job. No, when you're going through a divorce, when you have a new baby, when you're getting married, when you're making a $500,000 purchase, you want to make sure you're protected and you have great representation. That's why real estate agents exist.
Cheap plug for OfferIn. This is like one of the things that actually is like super significant on the buyer agent side. When someone is using OfferIn, you know for sure that when you're representing your client and you put an offer in, it is making it to that seller. The details, it's being represented correctly, which is such a big deal because it's so easy to make a mistake. I was talking to a listing agent the other day. We were on a different transaction and like I heard it in her voice. Her voice dropped. She's like, I've got a hot property. It was like almost like deflating to her because she was literally talking about her. I've got to do this, and Little League, which I always love bringing up Little League because she's now dealing with this, problem of I have to like go and manage all of this. So anyways, it's really awesome for buyers agents to know that their information is getting to a seller. It's just the peace of mind of knowing if you lose, you lose, but at least you know it was represented well.
So when in the traditional real estate space, when you start from the first phone call or even the marketing sign, you start building trust. That first conversation, that relationship starts building this relationship of trust. The offer is so critical at that stage. Tell me, give me some good stuff. Have you guys ever seen like a deal fall apart because of the lack of transparency or the lack of trust that was built, or heard of stories at least?
Well, I think with buyers in particular, if you don't adopt the mindset of treating them the way you want to be treated early on, you can't build the trust fast enough. Like in order for them to if there's a competitive property, it takes you had to educate them and really help them understand what's happening for them to get up the confidence to win at something. If it's a really hot property where they have to trust you impeccably on all these different angles. So I think to the degree that you look at somebody and are like, hey, I really care about their life, their family, their finances, their future, when they call me back in 6 years, and my goal here is to educate, care for, and bring them to the point where they can make an empowered, confident decision. Like that's where you build all the trust is actually looking at this like it's a job of bringing someone's life forward.
Yeah.
And if you look at it like a commission, like you're going to get, like if you're thinking about it through the lens of, and everybody's guilty. I'm guilty I've done it. Like you can get off kilter for a minute there. It's like a doctor who doesn't care for his patient. Like it's the worst. But if you have a doctor who like has that, I actually care about you, and like even they followed up or gave him a phone number, whatever they did, because they were like, no, I actually like really cared and felt the
servant's heart.
It changes your experience as the person.
For
like
sure.
whether or not they cared, which builds the trust.
Yeah.
Now, if you are a misguided person who doesn't know a lot, you can do that and still really damage somebody.
Yeah.
So like beware, like you need to do the work to like better yourself.
So if you're a new real estate agent, So you're saying your first year, you
Yeah.
haven't had a ton of transactions yet.
Yeah.
What is like one or two practical things that they need to implement into their lives? I love that. First, I'm going to take one and just say number one is servant's heart, right?
Yeah.
They have to have that ability. I heard a quote once that says, build relationships, not leads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, in this space, it's a relational business. However, I feel like when transactions are happening and you miss a detail, that's can quickly erode the trust, right?
Two things they need
Number
to
one,
do.
servant's heart. Yeah. What else? What else?
Well, okay, they can be done. This
stole
would be
that
2
one.
and 3. Fine.
Right.
Two. One, they need a mentor. Get a mentor. Find somebody who has the servant's heart that actually cares about real estate, people, their lives, their families, that like you can learn from, and also is very detail oriented and wants you to like do it right. That's one. And then two, get a house. Buy a house. If you're a new agent, if you haven't bought a house, you got to figure out how to get your feet wet. Or if you own a house, get an investment property. Like start dealing with your product so that you can build that expertise, build some failures in there. Like get your feet wet, get dirty.
Kevin, thoughts?
I think the one philosophy I've always had, which is simple, I prescribe to the keep it simple method, which is yes, definitely. I try to wear the same thing every day. I try to go to bed at the same time, work out at the same place, and eat the same food. That's my life.
True. That's true.
That all being said,
AI Kevin.
I think this is just me. I don't know how other people word this in their minds. I've always wanted to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
And it's been really important to me when I lay my head down on the pillow. You better believe it takes me like 30 seconds to fall asleep.
That's
I'm
right.
out like that. And that comes from living a life where you've done what you can every day. You've put yourself out there. You've made honest decisions and been honest with people. And then you don't have to worry at night when you lay your head down.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, trust isn't earned just once. It's reinforced through every interaction. The more sellers feel seen, informed, and respected, the more likely they are to refer you, right, to their other clients. And this is an investment in you. Servant's heart, find a mentor, have an actual transaction. Those are great practical steps to take away and helping to build trust.